Right, making the LED project. The LEDs, you can have, these are rainbow LEDs, and then we can have LEDs of just one colour, such as red, yellow, green. The green one in the box, just in here. We have blue and so on. Anyway, you can choose your colours. So, as per the circuit diagram of drawings, the LEDs, we're doing this one on the right, the LEDs, the positive goes to the top, the negative to the bottom. If you remember the drawing here, the long leg is positive, the short leg is negative. So, as per the drawing, we put a strip of copper tape across the top, a strip of copper tape across the bottom. The top becomes positive, the bottom becomes negative. So here are the little models. Got two there, holes towards the top. Used to be different. We've got two holes towards the bottom. Yours might be different again. So we put a piece of copper tape near the top, above the LEDs. A second piece of copper tape towards the bottom. These could, of course, be a little bit shorter. A minor point: when you've drilled the holes through the paper, you get like a little starburst of paper around the edge. So if you, they're nice tight fit, these LEDs. If you use a pencil or something, push the paper back in with your fingernail, thumbnail, and put that into the sort of hole. It pushes this little starburst of paper into the hole, so it can just look a little bit neater. You don't have paper sticking out around the edge of the LED. Same on this one. If you look close up, you might be able to see, you'll see on yours little bits of paper sticking up. That's just a bell for break time. Always happens when I'm making a video. So when you put the lights through now, it makes it look a lot neater. Right, the LEDs, it's very little difference. Long leg positive, short leg negative. So you put the long leg towards the top. Let's start with this one. The long leg towards the top. So you'll have to look closer when you do it. The long leg towards the top. Again, you might notice how there's no little starburst of paper around the edge. So on this one, I'll just use a rainbow LED. That's the one that does lots of colours, and an ordinary LED. Same again, long leg positive, short leg negative, long leg towards the top, like so. Then we'll bend the legs over. So the long legs are going to the top, which is going to be positive. And then the short legs need to pass through a resistor. And you've just got to sort of twist these together. Somehow it's a little bit fiddly. And that makes a connection. And then twist your next LED. So on this one I'm connecting the LED's negative leg to the top of the resistor. Right, so let's twist it. And then, if you wished, with some cutters, we've got some wire cutters here, we can cut off any sort of excess that's hanging off, the excess off there, and cut the excess off here as well. In fact, we could bend these resistor legs like this, so it makes a better connection to the copper. And similarly, when we get to the bottom, we bend the resistor legs round, so you get a nice connection onto the copper. The more metal you have in contact, the better. So that's there. We've got some other projects here that are based on the same principle. We have copper tape connected to LEDs. This was a circuit that lit up at night. It's got a light sensor on it, and so it starts to light up once it's gone dark. So lots of electronic projects use that. We've got another one here that would be like a garden display. That could be in your garden. Could have a little solar panel with a rechargeable battery, and then at night time it would light up, and that's a stake to put it in the ground. So we're going to wire up our USB connectors now. So some of the USB connectors have red and black wires on, so I'll do one of each, which you'll probably use in science: red positive, black negative. And we're probably going to, can be tricky, strip the ends for you. So if we've wired it up correctly, and we're making good contact, this should work. So if I connect my red to here, and my black to there, you probably see from the back the lighting up. We'll hold it all around the front in a moment. So what we need to do, we pass these wires through the hole that we've made in the bottom of the block of wood. If you recall, we have a little slot in the bottom, like that, so it sits nicely on the desk. Then we need a few more little pieces of copper tape, to join it all together. So again, the copper tape is adhesive. So the red wire, which is positive, goes to the top of your chain of LEDs. So as I say, we're doing this circuit diagram on the right, which we do in science, is called a series. Sorry, this one's called a series circuit on the left, this is called a parallel circuit on the right. So that's the one we're making. And then you have to put another little piece of copper tape across the top to join the two LEDs here to the positive wire. And just press it down. And then we do the same thing at the bottom. Oh, actually, I'll just go through it again, I missed a little step off. This as well, if you tie this in a knot, I forgot to mention that, sorry. You tie this in a knot, you've got to be careful, you've got enough length in your wires so that the cable doesn't pull through. There we are, that's better. And then again, we just do what I said there, we put the red wire to the top and stick it down with a double-sided tape. And we put the black wire to the bottom of the chain, so we need some more, I said double-sided tape then, that's not quite right, it's copper tape. So double-sided tape is all plastic, that wouldn't work, this is copper tape. And you just find a good spot to stick all that together. So I think I put two pieces, and I put a piece of copper tape to join the resistors together. And then I put another piece of copper tape on top to join the wire to the resistors. So you just, at that point, this should all work. Yeah, and then that's our project working. So these are LEDs that just stay lit. We have these in red, yellow, blue, green, I think that's it, and blue, we also have blue, and these are ones that cycle through a range of colours. They're loosely called rainbow LEDs. They don't quite do a rainbow of colours, but that's the idea. So you just need to make sure that all these connections, I'll just try one more bit of tape, are really stuck down well. This second resistor here, so the second LED here doesn't look like it's stuck too well. So then I'll just put a little bit more tape on and press it down firmly, and that should always work. So that's the first one done. So I'll just leave that one flashing. Right, the second one, right, so the second one, this one's slightly different, the same scenario. That one's got the LEDs to the top, so it goes LED resistor. This one's got the LEDs at the bottom. Otherwise it's just the same. And in the circuit diagram here, we've got alternate LEDs, top and bottom, as with this little model here, alternate. So it's up to you to work out the best configuration for yours. Piece of copper tape there, so it's double-sided. You have to peel the, sorry, sticky back rather. You have to peel the sticky back off, and so it's copper on one side and sticky on the other side. And then for neatness, we don't want it overhanging the edge, so you trim it. I've pre-cut these, so your block of wood is about 100 millimeters or so I've cut these down to a little bit under 100. Right, so again, I'll put two LEDs on here. So we've got the slightly longer leg I'm going to have to the top. That's all you've got to remember really. Long leg to the top, short leg to the bottom. So that's my long leg going towards the top. LED again, it's very little difference in it. So you've got to look really closely to see the long leg. Also, you've got to even look even closer. I have mentioned this before. On the drawings, you've got a tiny little flat edge on the body, which is a short leg, which is negative. Another word for negative is cathode. So you can also tell the negative by the little flat edge on the body, but it's incredibly small to see. So you probably can't see it in the camera. You'll have to look at it close up yourselves. I can just about see it myself as I look at it. Whether you can see it on the camera is debatable. There's a flat edge next to the shorter leg. Anyway, the easiest way is to go short leg is negative, short leg to the bottom, long leg to the top. So it's long leg to the top, short leg to the bottom. Then we need two resistors, and you've just got to twist these together. So I'm going to take that one out to twist it, it might be easier. So that makes a good enough connection. Twisting that onto there. A second resistor, so each LED needs resistor, LED resistor. So LEDs can be at the top, can be at the bottom, they can be alternate like that. everyone's will be slightly different. So on these holes are 5mm, the LEDs are 5mm, they do tend to stay in situ quite well. And then again, I'm just going to bend the, watch I'm doing this, I'm going to bend the tops of the LEDs, sorry, bend the tops of the resistors, the bottom of the LEDs, so that they meet the copper tape. You get, given the length of copper tape, you're just going to put it down into pieces. So I'll use a little bit more here. So these are going to be to stick it together with. So I'll cut myself a few pieces of copper tape. It can be fiddly to get the back off sometimes. Right, that's the back of that one. I'll stick the 2 resistors to that top piece of copper tape. Get my next little piece. Stick that down to there. You can press it down with your fingers or even something like this pencil. You just need to make a really good connection. That should be all stuck together nicely. Now, the actual wiring that we're going to use in class, just because we have lots of it, is this grey wire here, which is, it's got a, again, you might be able to see in the camera, you might not, it's got a black stripe on one side and a not black stripe on the other side. So one side's just all grey when you peel it apart, one side's black. So we're given these pre-connected, so all you need to remember is the black is negative. So on the first one we did, we've got red and black, which you know I'm doing science, red positive, black negative. And on here, we've got the whole wire is grey and it's just got a single black stripe on. So we pass the wire, so you tie a knot in it a little bit lower down, I'll go this time. Something like that, so when you pull on this cable, it's going to pull on the knot and not pull on your wiring. Something like that. So the longer leg, sorry, the black stripe rather is negative, and the not black stripe is positive. And that should be the LEDs lighting up. Just let me bend this wire out of the way. Right, so once again, I'm just going to test it and I'll glue it down. So that's the negative, that's the positive. Have I got a loose connection somewhere? Yeah, that's the light's working. If you can see, if I turn it over, that's the light's working. You should be able to see it in the camera now. So I'll see if I can quickly stick these down, and that's the project finished. I need 2 more little pieces of tape. Possibly even 3. I'll cut 2 anyway, if we need more. Right, you peel off the backing. Like so, so if you've no fingernails, you bit your fingernails, you're going to struggle. So that's the one without a black stripe, so this is the positive, which sticks up onto the top row here. Press it down nice and firmly. And our other wire is the negative. I need 1 more piece of copper tape. Peel off the backing. That's it. Copper tape onto the bottom. Stick it down. Press. So press nice and firmly so it doesn't peel up over time. I think it's lost its stick in this piece of tape. It's come undone. I'll try 1 more piece on top. That isn't very sticky, that little piece. So if you handle the sticky side too much with your fingers, it's not going to stick. Your fingers seem to take the stickiness off it. That's it, and then this process, as we said, in one of the video clips I showed you, can join all these together with a liquid metal. The process is called soldering, but it's quite slow and it gets up to 300 degrees C, so it's a bit dangerous. You certainly burn yourself if you touch the hot metal, and it also gives off lots of fumes. You need windows open, ideally a big extraction fan, which again we haven't really got. So that's another reason why we do it this way. So that's the 2 projects done. The wire sits in this little slot. You need to make sure you've got plenty of glue, I've fallen into the trap here, underneath these edges, otherwise it does what mine has started to do, peels up at the edges. So that's that one. We've got the 2 rainbow LEDs. That's that one that's got, we can, again, I've put the hot glue gun off now. If we wanted to, we could put a little bit of hot glue there and it just makes the wire sit in that slot a bit better. But that's optional, and that's the project complete.